Hi, my name is Jim. I've been a low voltage electrician for over 30 years. And if you're just starting out in the business, I want to share a tip with you about what can make you more of an asset to your employer, and if you have your own company, make you more professional to your customers. And that's carrying your own hand tools with you every single day and having the ones that you need for your job on you at all times. With that in mind, let's take a look at how I carry my bag. These are the basic tools you're going to need for telecommunications. First thing in your pouch is a can wrench. This has got a 7/16 and 3/8 inch end on it for working on binding posts. It also has a little tool here for getting into B boxes and telephone boxes, sometimes video boxes along the way. It doesn't take up much room. You want to have that. Punch tool. Every person that works on 66 blocks or 110 blocks needs a punch tool. Has a tip that comes out. It also has an extra place where you can store. I keep a 110 tip in here, and just in case I'm working, I don't have to go back and get another tool. I can switch it out. Also, this is specific to pretty much to telecommunications. We use a lot of 1/4 inch screws, and this fits it perfectly for getting down into those real steep areas. You mount jacks, you mount different kind of wire mesh. All the things that go on a backboard or on a wall are mounted with 1/4 inch screws, so this is pretty much a must in my tool bag. Another must in my tool bag is a crimper. Again, we use specific kinds of crimping pieces, little pieces here. These are called 702s. They are for 2 wires, and they just slip right into the crimper. The crimper crimps it down perfectly right through the jacket. You get a perfect crimp every time. Another one is the button connector, which we use for tapping wires, or sometimes a 1-wire connection, and this crimper does a perfect job for that. Another must are lineman's scissors. These are really, really good scissors. These are made of stainless steel. They can not only cut like regular scissors, but they're really the go-to cutter for cross connect and small wires. They also have a knurled edge on the end here for stripping 22 gauge wire, although I don't really use them for that much stripping. I use them mostly for cutting and placing wires into a 66 block. Here's a tool that I made, and I can't take full credit for it. It's just a regular old brush that's used in the automotive industry for cleaning parts. And I just cut the end off so it fits comfortably in my tool bag. And you use this for getting cobwebs off of 66 blocks or outside of B boxes or little things that you have to reach into. Cobwebs and spider webs, things like that, are a big problem for low voltage because they tend to create an induction or sometimes a short in a box, and this will help you. Here's another instrument that is really good for telecommunications. It's a pick, and as you can see, it has a little end on it right here, a little metal end that's really useful in getting wires out of 66 blocks without shorting another pair of wires. On the other side, it's got a tip where you can actually push wires back down if they're if they need to be placed back inside the between the pins. And again, it doesn't short anything out. Now, this is something I made. I keep with me. It's just a regular piece of wood. I've kind of sharpened it down on this end, and I use this for going into wire bundles and separating wire bundles and picking through them. It's non-metallic. It's not going to short anything out in case there's some kind of a little nick in the wire, and I can use it to sort out wires really effectively in addition to the pick. Those are the primary tools for telecommunications. After your telecommunications tools, these are the primary tools that I carry in my bag on every single job. First off the bat, I've got a good pair of needle nose pliers. You want to make sure that you don't misuse them. Don't try to pinch something or grab something that's too big. I use these for taking wires around binding posts, pulling off tabs, getting things into tight spots or pulling it back out. I use this on every single job every day. Next thing is a regular old ordinary screwdriver. Because of the economy and the weight, you want to have something that serves multi-purposes. So I recommend something like a 5-in-1 screwdriver that has 2 tips on it. It's got a Phillips head and a slotted in 2 different sizes. You can insert them into the end at either end, and you've got basically 2 different kind of screwdrivers. One other thing that you might need, and this takes no room at all in your pouch, get an extension for this screwdriver. It fits into where one of the bits fits in right there. The other bit fits on the other end, and then you can put it right into the handle, and now you've got a perfect screwdriver for those long reaches where you have to get down into a chassis or you have to get back behind something. This is a really good thing to have in your bag. Finally, just a regular old pair of wire strippers. Now they have fancy ones, all different kinds. This is my preference, so whatever you have. It's very small, it doesn't take up much room. I can strip low voltage wires, I can strip Cat 5, I can even strip 12 gauge copper with it. And it's been something I've used for years. It's old school, but again, I take it mostly because of the size and the weight. The third set of tools I carry in my pouch are pretty much for general use, but there's something I use all the time and I want to have with me. I don't want to have to go and get them. One of them, I know it sounds silly, but just an ordinary flashlight. This is a mag light. It simply goes on and off. I don't like the ones that flash and come on with different intensity. I just want something simple. I use it a lot of times under a house or in an attic as a backup, but this is very helpful in almost every job I do. Now this is what you want to have so you don't abuse your needle nose. These are a pair of lineman's pliers. They cut big bundles of wire. They've got very powerful square jaws, and you can also use them for tapping. And I'll just give you an example here. You got a wood chisel, and you're going to have to try to chisel out a little bit of wood. This is a nice weighted tapping tool, which makes it unnecessary for you to have to carry a hammer for those small jobs. Very important to have one of those. I just recently added these to my tool pouch, and I love them. They're regular channel locks, but they're made by a company called Nipex. And they have a button that you can push right here to open and close them so that they're always in the same size when you put them back in your pouch. If you need them for a certain job, the size doesn't switch on you. I use it for pulling on conduit, tightening fittings for cameras, things of that nature. This is a tool that I just added recently, and I don't think I could do without it. Here's a tool that I made years ago off of an idea from an ice pick. It's basically a poking instrument. I use it for going into drywall and making holes, for putting plastic anchors in, or if I have to search around behind a wall, I can use it to see how deep that wall is, and again, multi-purposes for this tool. Again, we talked about this a second ago, but it's just a 1-inch chisel for routing out a little bit of wood or making something, making a V in some wood to get some little wires through or something of that nature. This is something you don't use very often, doesn't take up a whole lot of room in the tool pouch. Definitely have one with you. Here's another tool that I just recently added to my pouch. Maybe I should have done it a long time ago, but it's a non-contact voltage tester. Lets you know when you've got anything like in the area of 110 voltage in a box that you're working on so that you don't get surprised. And something I'll be keeping in my pouch from now on. Finally, here's another version of a screwdriver, a small Phillips and a slotted. This one happens to be made by Husky. I like it because when you're using it, you can hold the red tip and you can actually turn it. So it's really easy and ergonomical and for those little teeny screws. And sure as can be, you're going to have a need for that on a job. Another little tool that is really important and folks don't think about it is a regular level. When you're putting those jacks in, or you're putting plates on the wall, or you're mounting 66 blocks or any kind of equipment in a telephone room, make sure that it's plumb and level. It's a difference between you being a professional and just a regular hack guy. A level is so important. Make sure that that's part of your pouch. Here's another tool that's pretty specific. It doesn't take a whole lot of room. It's called a screw starter. Once you take the spring edge here and you load it, you can put a screw into it and it'll hold that screw. You can now reach back into a place or a wall or something that's really, really tight, push that in and start the screw. Once the screw is started and it won't turn anymore, it just simply disconnects. Now you've got your screw back in the wall and you can now get at it with that long screwdriver I showed you a minute ago. Another thing that's nice about it, right here on the back, it's got a magnet. So if you happen to have a screw that's fallen down between something and you can't find it, you can actually take this screw starter, reach in there, find that screw, and now you've got your screw back. A lot of times it's going to be the only screw that goes in that slot if your luck is like mine. These are the last category of tools I make sure that I have in my pouch every day. But there's one more thing. I saved this for last because it just is so easy to overlook. Have some markers, have a pen and a pencil. You're going to need to make a note, or maybe you're going to have to mark on a wall. You're going to have to label some wires. You're going to have to label a 66 block. Don't go around having to look for a simple pencil. Now, you know everyone's got one, but don't be one of those guys that has to go around and look for it. And here is my last tip. I carry just a regular coat hanger. Now, I made this, and as you'll notice, it's got a large loop here, and it's got a small loop facing the same direction. The reason for that is that when I'm digging back into a wall, I know where that loop is based on this loop, which way it's turning. So I know where I'm trying to find a wire, where I'm trying to snag something, and when I get it, I can pull it right back out through the hole that I made with the awl, because it's just a very, very small hole, and you don't have to do a lot of damage to get back into a wall to pull a wire out. You use this a lot when you're doing concealed wiring. To sum it up, right into my pouch goes my screw starter. Then goes my level. Then goes my small screwdriver. Then goes my non-contact voltage tester, my 1-inch chisel, my awl, my lineman's pliers, my flashlight, my channel locks. Next up, my brush, my pick, my punch tool, needle nose pliers. I made a little slot down here for these wire strippers, my screwdriver, my extension, my hex nut driver, my pick, my can wrench, my crimpers, my lineman scissors, my markers, and my pencil, my pen, and last but not least, my wire. And there is a tool bag that'll serve you well on every single job, ergonomically. Know where your tools are. When you need those needle nose pliers, they come right out, they go right back in. When you need the screwdriver, right out, right back in. Don't leave the tools on the top of the ladder or on a counter or on the floor. Well, there you have it. Once you've got your pouch ergonomically loaded up with the tools that you need every day, you're ready to go to work. And you'll be viewed as a professional that's an asset to your employer or your customers if you're in business for yourself. If this video was helpful to you, hit the like button at the bottom of the screen, and we'll try to get you more video tips in the future. In the meantime, thank you for watching.